Jasper National Park is well known as being one of the most beautiful places in Canada. But after last year's devastating firestorm, which destroyed approximately 1/3 of the town's structures and laid waste to 96,000 acres of surrounding wildland, we wondered, is there anything left to enjoy in this mountain community? We're wandering nomads, making our way across the vast expanse of Canada's heartland, slow rolling our way north to Alaska. Today, we're on our way to the small destination town of Jasper in Alberta to see the damage for ourselves, talk with some locals, and to discover if Jasper is still worth visiting. But as we ascended into Alberta's Rocky Mountain region, we wondered if we should avoid visiting the town altogether, maybe out of respect by providing room for people to heal, or out of compassion by lessening the tourist burden on this already stressed community, or maybe because we feared the stark loss of beauty that the region was so famous for. But then we remembered, our journey as full-time nomadic travelers is as much about the people we meet as the places we visit. So we needed to see for ourselves and to learn from what this resilient little mountain community could teach us. When we set out to live full-time on the road, we gave up a big part of our former lives, our home, and all our possessions. But that was our choice. I can only imagine the difficulty and trauma the people of Jasper must have experienced having so much of their world suddenly and tragically burned to the ground. Having just wild camped in some breathtaking provincial territory just outside of the parks, we slow rolled through the northern part of Banff National Park and the epic southern region of Jasper's famed mountain wilderness. We were full of wonder and amazement at the rugged landscape before us. These stalwart sentinels of the northern Rocky Mountain Range, with their unearthly snow-capped faces jutting to the sky, equal parts artistic grandeur and imposing monoliths. As we chugged along in our little adventure truck, ascending higher and higher, we could feel it. The mountains were indifferent to us, ready to inspire or destroy. We were early enough in the season that we practically had the parks to ourselves, but as we approached Jasper from the south, the landscape suddenly changed. Large swaths of forested lands suddenly gave way to charred and blackened desolation. The once dense forest, stripped of its undergrowth, lay bare, with little to no protection for its vulnerable wildlife. The still shocked land sat ashen and unmoving, like a giant abandoned game of pickup sticks. We entered Jasper through what we would later know as the Red Zone, the part of town most affected by the fire. Cleanup work was mostly completed, with vibrant blue fencing marking the affected properties, a curious juxtaposition of hopeful color against such loss. At both ends of town, modular buildings were recently installed as pop-up emergency housing for many of the displaced locals, as well as for the influx of construction workers poised to have job security for the next 3 to 5 years. We parked our big yellow adventure truck and wandered the small town on foot in search of people to talk to about their experiences. We are new enough at this process that it's still difficult and somewhat intimidating for us. How do you approach a complete stranger with hopes of hearing some of their traumatic story? Turns out, all you need to do is ask.
Isabella and I sat down on a log park bench, the sun illuminating her already glowing face and the light breeze pulling at strands of her long, pulled-back strawberry blonde hair. I asked her about the day the fire broke out.
Oh yeah, it was super windy. He's like, do you feel that wind? He's like, that's the devil's wind. And that's what he called it. So, and that just like stuck in my brain.
Right.
He kind of packed the car really fast.
Yeah.
This way towards Edmonton was blocked. So there's 3 ways into town, and the only way that we could get out at that time was into British Columbia. Like, I feel like in your brain, you're always like, oh, if I had to only take 3 things from my house or something like that. That is not what I grabbed at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, like, so I had my bin, it's about like that big, of just some sentimental stuff.
Right.
And then in my suitcase, I had like my trail running shoes, no socks, a pair of blue linen pants.
So you're like panic grabbing.
Oh yeah, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to take right now.
All the thinking I was supposed to do, I'm not doing.
It's not happening. My brain was off.
Right.
Our literally entire town got evacuated into like Valemont, which is like the super tiny little town, and they were like, what do we do with these people?
Right.
So most of us were like in our tents, kind of in a school field.
And did you lose your home? You did?
Yeah. My house...
I'm sorry.
Yeah, thanks. It was on the last street to burn on this side. So on one side, it's like green grass, the park, it's totally fine. And then the other side is like leveled.
How did you deal with all of this? Like, obviously you're still dealing with it. I can't say that you're done just because we've passed almost a year.
For sure.
It's going to be a lifelong thing for you.
Yeah. When we were evacuated, it's reached town.
Sure.
I was kind of like, okay, like if our house goes, I'm going to be fine. It's all going to be fine.
It's just stuff.
Yeah, right? It's just stuff. And that's kind of what my mom kept telling me. She's like, oh, it's just things. You still have all your memories and stuff. But it's hard after that. Me and my mom shut our phones off because we were like, there's nothing you can do about it. It was almost like when someone dies and you have that like reality, like it's not real, that kind of thing. Because that's the house I grew up in. I've only ever lived in that one house.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that house is more than a house. It's more than a building. It's your entire identity.
Yeah, totally.
I get that.
Yeah. Our house was like made of like rock and stucco. So we were like, okay, you know, there might have been a chance it was fine.
Right.
But no. So, the only way we knew it was our house is because we had a metal fence post in the front, so it still had that and our house numbers on it. So we got let back in like 3 days before I had to fly out. School. Yeah. My mom was like, we can go and we can see it, but if you'd rather not and just go back to school, you can do that.
Wow. What was your decision there?
I wanted to go because I was like, I want to see.
You wanted to go home?
Yeah, I wanted to go home. I saw the photos, but I just want to be standing in front of it.
Did you go back to school?
I did go back to school. I really did not want to.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't, Mom, I don't want to go. Like, please don't make me go.
Right.
And she was like, I think it'd be better for you if you do go. If you there and you hate it and you change your mind, you can come home.
And?
I stayed.
You stayed?
Yeah. A lot of my friends and like our neighbors and people who haven't come back to town or moved to, I don't know, like a lot.
So people just left?
Yeah. There's like a lot of people I know that were just like, I'm selling my lot and I'm leaving.
So that's a lot of loss for people like you who are from here. Like, not only did you lose your home, but your community's all ripped up too.
Part of me, I guess, in a sense, like burned down with my house and with the town. Not just a house, it's, okay, this is where I grew up, this is where I have all my birthday parties, but it's also a lot of the trails around here are really special and really important to me. So I'm going to school for marketing, and I would love to do tourism marketing kind of thing. Yeah.
And in a place like this, it's pretty much the primary industry, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. This summer they're anticipating there is going to be a lot of people.
Good.
But we do get a lot of phone calls being like, oh, so is the park ugly? Or and it's not ugly, it's just different.
Sure.
Like, it's not, I find it like, so when I first came home, I was like, this is horrible, like I couldn't even. But now when I go running or I go biking, there's like fireweed that's growing and mushrooms, and it's really neat to see. My mom the other day said, she was like, the mountains didn't melt, they're fine, they're still here.
That's so good.
It'll all regrow, everything's gonna come back.
Right.
There'll be new life, new growth. It's still beautiful, it's just beautiful in a different way.
And it's not all of the whole surrounding area.
No.
It's pockets,
Yes.
specific pockets.
Yeah. It was actually only 97% of our national park didn't burn.
Right.
But the part that did burn was kind of right in the
Prime.
town. Yeah.
Prime.
Yeah. When I was at school, it was really difficult because there's all the insurance stuff that has to get done. Like you have to think, okay, you have a junk drawer. What is everything in that drawer, right? So I have to imagine myself going into my house, opening the door, but I know I'm never going to be home again.
After spending time hearing Isabella's story, we said our goodbyes and followed a suggestion to walk over to the Royal Canadian Legion Hall, which seemed to be the heartbeat of the local community. We asked questions and listened to whoever was willing to share with us. TJ and James, fresh off a day of reconstruction work, shared their perspectives with me over a glass of beer.
We were just about out of work, actually. The town had expanded about as far as it could have, and it can't get any bigger because of bylaws and things like that. And now there's so much work, nobody knows what to do with it.
James grew up in the area, like you grew up in like...
I grew up in Hinton, about 45 minutes away, yeah.
This is home for him, and I've been here about 4 years, but it's a really magical place and it's hard to leave. But now, since the fire, it's kind of hard to stay.
TJ and James shared with me some honest and unvarnished realities the local community faces recovering from this devastating event while living in a national park. Rent increases, housing displacement, loss of friends, insurance bureaucracy, construction red tape, and even the price of fresh food.
Nobody's touched rebuilding yet.
Right. Nobody's
There's too many permits to go through.
Yeah. There's so much red tape.
Like people say, oh, like did your house get affected by the fire? And I was like, well, no, my house didn't burn down, but I had to move anyway. It was covered in ash. So I threw away all my clothes, anything porous. I went in there with as much PPE as I could. I threw away anything porous. I kept my like dresser and like, bed frame.
I've paid insurance on time, promptly, my entire life, and it is ridiculous the amount of hoops I had to go through in my house filled with ash, and to get them to take that seriously took me 9 months to get anything even close to being settled, to get a dime.
They recall some of their experiences during and the weeks after the evacuation.
There was another fire that got close to town. It was called the Chettaman Fire, and the mountains down the road going to Hinton were all on fire. It was quite a sight to see. All of our power went out, and we had to deal with that, and it was, it was kind of fun. We kind of like put candles on, and we're all like adapt with like camping gear and stuff, so we just kind of like put our camping stoves on, and we did like little board game nights. And so because of that, some of us who lived through that didn't really take the evacuation seriously at first, like myself. And I've got a roommate at the time, and it was her first summer in Jasper, and she's running around the house trying to get water and like all these things. I was like, first evacuation, eh? Like, we'll be fine. Turn on YouTube. I'm like, I'm fine. I got in my car at 10 p.m. and I got onto Connaught at 12:30. Like that's how bumper to bumper it was. So yeah, the hardest part was being in the dark, like I said, for so long. We're getting these tiny little pieces of information here and there. And
there was pictures coming out of like a hotel that was on the west end of town that completely burned down, and that's across the street from my house. So I was like, there's no way my house is fucking here. Like it's gone. It went right through my area of town. Up until the moment I came to Jasper, I did not know my house was here.
Yeah.
100% I thought my house was gone.
There's a handful of first responders, and they've got different videos that are leaking through the social media and the internet, and this is the only information
we have.
we
There's like 3 videos, that was it. There's like 3 videos.
And they'd be driving around, and
you wouldn't even know what it was.
And we don't know what it is. We see things that are flattened, and we're like, is that my house? Is that my house?
Yep.
So it's like, we're trying to fight for the community and to stay here, but it's like, it's changing, and it's like, what are we fighting for? Is this the Jasper that we know and love,
We all understand that forest fires can be a normal and healthy part of a forest natural life cycle. And in some ways, we can recognize how true that cycle of loss and renewal can be in our own lives. For Jasper and anyone who comes to visit here, a part of what was is no longer. But Jasper is resilient. There is an abundance of beauty to be found here, both in the ever-changing natural environment of this wild and wonderful place, as well as in the amazing people who live here, who are creating beauty from ashes. It's worth coming here to see it for yourself. Yes, the fires did rage, but the mountains didn't melt.